We got Cavs, we got Guardians, we got Ohio State, and we got some Browns on the agenda today. We're going to start with the Cavs after a quick word from FanDuel. You can tackle all of the NFL action this year with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5, get $250 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to join today. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Let's start with the Cavs, guys. Cleveland improved to 26-4 on the season after beating the Utah Jazz last night. We'll dive into some of the X's and O's from the game in a sec, but I want to start with this as a broad question. There were people on Twitter yesterday complaining that the Cavs were only up by 4 at half and only won the game by 11 points. Are the Cavs so good they've spoiled people from just enjoying the night in, night out of the regular season right now? Have they been that good to start the year?
Yes, they have. And by the way, is this a lunatic fringe we're talking about here? that
we are going to get to that later.
That are upset about the Cavaliers not winning, not covering the 14.5 last night. I mean, come on.
It's funny you said that because I was thinking this is Ohio State syndrome here.
Yeah, we are so spoiled now with this team. Guys, we haven't won a title. We haven't won jack squat. It's
one playoff series.
26-4 is amazing. The one playoff series is not good enough. This team is great. They're so much fun to watch, but can we just pump the brakes? We're not good enough to play on Christmas Day. So relax.
Well, we should have been. I know.
I'm just
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I didn't see it. Maybe I wasn't checking Twitter. I didn't checked out of here since the Browns is trash. But I didn't see it.
These bitter Cavs fans on FanDuel, man, didn't cover the 14.
Hey, now listen, those people are always going to be bitter. That's costing them money. Them folks is obsessed with that.
Yeah.
People's parlays be out of the window. I can understand that. But, no, man, if you're a regular basketball fan and you saw you talk about
this doesn't happen in the NBA. This does not happen.
It's not a thing, bro. That's definitely not a thing. Count them W's. That's it.
I actually thought, I know Utah doesn't have a good record. They seem like they're a better team. I know they have some,
they're feisty.
What's that?
They're feisty.
They're a feisty team. Obviously, Collin Sexton's a good player, nice player. Markkanen's a really good player. Clarkson's a really good player. And this center, Walker Kessler.
Which we're talking about the rebounding issue in a sec. Walker Kessler was incredible last night.
But how about that play that Darius Garland made him fly through the air at the end of the game? He had a few
plays on Walker Kessler where he put him in a torture chamber.
Did you guys see that play in the fourth quarter?
Yeah.
What I don't understand is if you're Walker Kessler defending Darius Garland, which he was doing a lot in the fourth quarter.
Utah was switching screens and Cleveland was attacking.
Why would he jump at all? He's got a foot on Garland. He wouldn't even need to jump to block a shot.
Sometimes it happens like that on the court.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
It's called involuntary spasms.
Yeah, he faked him so bad that he got him to jump when he doesn't even need to jump. But so they got they should be a little better than their record. I know Clarkson and Sexton are kind of one-dimensional chuckers.
Yeah, I don't think they're that.
But they're not terrible play. They shouldn't be they should be normal.
They're not the Washington Bullets.
Right, they're not like that.
They're also in the West, so they're playing the West.
That's
pretty
true.
Good.
But again, here's an amazing stat that I think is correct. I didn't actually look this up or see it, but I'm pretty sure it's right.
I can't confirm,
just make it up.
But in my head, it is correct.
I think it's right. The Cavs have not lost a game this season when they were leading at the start of the fourth quarter. Right? Their only 4 losses were games that they were losing most of the game.
Boston.
That Boston loss, they were losing the whole game.
Hawks twice.
No, Hawks twice, right? They were losing both those games, and then the Miami game, they never played in that game. So the Cavs have not blown a lead this entire season.
Yeah.
Not once. This team plays outside of the Miami, even in the Boston loss and the Hawks loss, I thought they played hard. The Miami game is the only game of 30 this whole season that you could say the Cavs didn't come to play.
Yeah.
1 out of 30. Most of the teams in the league, that's half their games. So if you're a Cavs fan complaining, you're a lame-o, in my opinion. It's ridiculous. Because this team, the reason I'm not bored or spoiled, when LeBron was here, you knew you were going to be in the finals, call me then. But with this team, I don't know where they're going to be. As great as they're playing, if If they played a bad matchup in the first round, it's not insane to think they could lose. It's also not insane to think they could get to the finals or even win it all, depending on who they match up with and how it goes. So we've never really had that experience before, or at least not in any recent time. And as much as I've always been so not into regular season basketball, I enjoy watching them play. So the fact that they didn't destroy a team for once, but I thought it was kind of good for them. Utah was playing really well for a while in the fourth quarter. They cut it down to 3 a number of times. And unlike most of their games this year, the Cavs had to show some grit and toughness and fight at the end of the game to win it. And I don't care that it was against a subpar team. So what? In the end, they got it done. And you can't win by 25 every night.
The Cavs are 21-9 against the spread.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
21-9
that's got to be the best in the league, right?
by far.
That's crazy.
What is
So
normal?
let's calm down, folks. They're winning you some money too.
Yeah, right.
What's normal against the spread?
I mean, obviously, just like any spread you make, you want it to be around that 55%
Right,
or whatever.
yeah.
You know, something that keeps
Yep.
it kind of close both ways. Yeah, I mean, 21-9, that is not normal.
Definitely not.
I think to your point about when LeBron was here, it wasn't like it just became a fatigue after a while.
Yes.
And that fatigue isn't. There's no reason to have that fatigue because this team is just now starting.
Right.
So if you go back to when LeBron first came here, when LeBron was here the first time, and there was still that excitement. That's the phase that this should be now, and the fact that they are playing so well. You know, they won a playoff series last year, but this just it's funny because this feels like a different team. It's the exact same team as last year, but it feels differently because they're playing differently. They're obviously having a ton more success, and it just feels like this team's coming into its own.
Yeah, man. I don't know what people was talking about around here, man. Listen, the Browns are super depressing. People need to go to therapy over that. I get a chance to watch the Cavs, and I get to see people play the right way. I get to see people develop. Sam Merrill hit like 33s last night.
Hit 6 last night.
He was a guy that we talked about in Summer League, and people said, hey, nobody makes it from Summer League, right? Now you got Sam Merrill come back. You see Max Strus come back. And you're like, well, is it going to be anything with the chemistry? No. Karis LeVert's playing some of the best basketball of his life. And Evan Mobley is just posterizing people now. I said yesterday he was a unicorn. Now he's just dunking on people left-handed, like getting to the rack.
Two nights in a row.
2 nights in a row. And here's the thing. We don't get to this. I love how Kenny Atkinson is like, you know what? I'm going to run the lineup, so I'm going to run. Sorry, Jared Allen. You can't be on the floor right now.
Well,
Put
that's
Sam Merrill in the starting line. One other thing about what Dustin brought up with the against the spread, Cavs are the best in the league at 21-9. Not by a lot, though. Anybody want to guess who's second against the spread?
Thunder.
no Houston,
No, Thunder are 5th and the Houston 6th.
Atlanta.
No.
Nope, not even close.
No.
Grizzlies.
Atlanta's one of the worst teams against the spread. The Memphis Grizzlies. Good job out of you.
Yeah, they've been good.
20-10. And then Toronto, 19-10-1
Lost
against
last
the spread.
night.
Shout out to NBA TV.
So the other part of the game, this is the more actual game discussion.
Yeah.
But down the stretch, the Cavs opted to go with George Niang and
Yeah.
Evan Mobley in the front court as opposed to the two Twin Towers, Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, despite the fact that they were getting worked on the boards. They lost
Right.
the rebounding battle by 11. We mentioned Walker Kessler, who had 16 boards himself, 8 offensive, 8
Right.
defensive. After the game, we asked Kenny, why'd you kind of go with that route?
Yeah.
He said, we thought spacing and opening up the floor on offense was more important than trying to contain them on the offensive rebounding glass. So we went with George, who still gives us some semblance of size, but more spacing than Jared Allen does.
And
Jason-
it forced them essentially to be set up in those pick and rolls where Darius or Kessler was on Darius.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
that was, a tricky matchup. for
They
them.
chose offensive and opportunities on
Right.
the offensive end over the defensive end. Jason, we saw last year with JB Bickerstaff, they were pretty rigid in their closing lineups. Not a ton of flexibility. Kenny's been the opposite. He's been mad scientist throwing any lineups out there. Are you surprised at all with the decision to go with Niang over Jared Allen in that situation? The results obviously speak for themselves, but are you surprised with the process of how they got there?
No, I love it. Because how many times we say last year, use the regular season to experiment, to learn to play left-handed a little bit, and that was one of the frustrating things was it didn't feel like they were throwing lineups out in the postseason that was their first time on the floor together, and that should never happen.
Right.
Unless it's some crazy injury thing where a guy misses most of the year. you should never be in a position where you have 5 guys on the floor together that never played together during the regular season. And I know, I can't remember the names, but I vividly remember that happening last year and thinking like, this can't happen. So I'd love, like, so if you lose last night, so what? Who cares? Like, give yourself the opportunity. Let's see what this looks like. And it's great. Like, that's how deep this roster is, that you have the versatility and the flexibility to go shooting and to put someone like Jared on the bench. And then there's going to be games where you need a stop or you need a defensive stand, and you're going to go. You might play possession with Mobley, Jared Allen, and Isaac on the floor all together, and it may restrict your shooting, but you're going to get the defensive push that you need. So I think it's great, and I love to see him experiment. Throw as many goofy lineups out there as you want. Put 4 guards out there with Mobley if you want, and just see what it looks like. Now's the time to do it.
Totally agree, and because the Cavs are off this 26-4 record, they have given themselves room for error. Like, you can experiment in games where you might lose a game,
Right.
And you can afford to do that because of the position you're in, and I love that. In-game adjustments and coaching is where you win games in the playoffs, right? That's when ultimately the final 45 seconds of the game, couple 3-4 possessions, that's when coaching matters, and this coach seems like he's getting them to a point. I love the idea of experimenting with a roster that you would say, like, if they just did that randomly in the playoffs without ever doing it, we would be going nuts, especially if it didn't work in the case, right? So I love it.
Listen, this is a great one. Hey, man, Kenny Atkinson is out here acting like Yu-Gi-Oh.
Excuse me?
Dragon Ball Z,
Oh, okay.
Yu-Gi-Oh. He says, listen, you think you're out rebounding me? Here's what we're going to do.
Aaron's yelling at me that it's not Dragon Ball Z. What
It's
is it?
Yu-Gi-Oh. You think you're out rebounding me? What you didn't know is I sacrificed rebounding for 3-point assists. I played a trap card face down. For every rebound you get, I get a 3-point bonus to every one of my 3-point shooters, outmaxing you. Yu-Gi-Oh is great. You got to check it. If you know, you know. It's
I guess so. You lost me.
Somebody.
I got the reference. That was good.
Yeah, right.
That was well done.
That was fire, wasn't it?
Hey, I dropped a real quick, sort of sidetracked. Me and Jason recorded an Ultimate Cavs show at
Mikey's
XMR.
trying to be like G.
I mentioned Super Smash Brothers, and Jason said he never played Super Smash Bros.
Who's playing? I don't even know what that is.
Tatum loves that game.
I said, like, Mike and I are in different generations.
Yeah.
When he was playing Super Smash Brothers, I was probably a dad. So, like,
Like you don't know.
our primes do not align.
nah, they
So
do
if
not.
I said something about wave dashing, you would not.
No idea.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
No
Dashing?
clue. Well, let me say this.
Is that a black thing?
What Kenny Atkinson
Wave?
what Kenny Atkinson has done, guys, I believe, is really going to pay dividends in the postseason, not only by experimenting. He has built a roster full of confident players like we've never seen with this group, right? This group, and maybe it'll change. Maybe in the playoffs it'll all revert and it'll be a disaster. I don't know. But I never felt like they were a confident team in the playoffs the last 2 years. Did you? Did you guys ever look at them as a confident team?
No. Hell no.
Outside of Mitchell, maybe?
I didn't think the coach was confident,
No.
nor the players.
I mean, Donovan scored 50 points.
Outside, that's what I'm saying. Outside the
lost.
Donovan.
outside that
and they-
dude, no one
Yeah,
else.
But I'm saying
nobody else looked confident.
Donovan scored 50 points and they lost.
Right, exactly.
In game
Exactly.
6.
But what he has done, I think, intentionally, is that because he mixes it up to end games, he mixes it up. Yesterday, he decided to start Sam Merrill for whatever reason. Somebody suggested it was because he grew up in Utah. I don't know if that.
Dean Wade was out, and he wanted Merrill.
Well, but Max Strus had been.
He's
starting.
still on a minutes restriction.
Yeah.
So
Whatever.
But it was his
The
first
point
start of
is,
the season.
he's
yes.
not afraid to use anybody in the starting lineup, and he's not afraid to use anybody in the closing lineup. And there are some coaches, and I think JB certainly is guilty of this, where even in a meaningless regular season game, if it felt like a game like last night, I think, or in the fourth quarter when the Jazz were making that run, JB would have panicked and made sure all his stars were back in the game. But Kenny's saying, no, I'm going to leave Jalen Tyson in there, and I'm going to let him play because this is part of a bigger thing. And I don't know if Jalen Tyson's going to play a minute that matters in the playoffs. He probably won't if everybody's healthy. But the point is, he's showing trust, like, oh, we're losing the lead, but I'm not going to bench you. Go out and keep the lead. And I think that's important to all the players.
How many times have I said over the years, Darius, you're going to figure it out tonight. This is back before when he was struggling. Like, I'm not bailing you out. It's Donovan. I am not bailing you out. Figure it out. You and Evan figure out how to win this game tonight.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. And that only helps you in April, May, and June. And if they don't figure it out, there's a lesson in that too.
Yeah, I think it's great. And the fact that he's not stuck We talk about system all the time with football or whatever. He's not. He's going to one day. It depends on the opponent, right? The Jazz kind of in a way. Obviously, they're not as good, but in a way, like the Hawks and the Celtics, the Jazz are also a kind of big team, and so maybe that was part of the experimentation. Hey, we've kind of struggled. The only thing we've struggled is with some of these big teams. The Jazz got a pretty big team. Let's try something against the Jazz, and maybe we'll try it against the Hawks next time. Maybe we'll try it against the Celtics next time.
I just like the idea that with this roster, you could have as many as 8-9 guys that are confident to be in the game when the game's on the line.
Yeah.
No matter who it is.
It's more than that. It's like 11 or 12.
Jason,
it's
you know
crazy.
this because you know the league so well. Like, that's rare.
Oh.
To have that many guys that are that confident to go into a game where the game is on the line.
Right.
I think it's just tremendous.
This may be the dumbest. Well, I've said a lot of dumb things, but this ranks up there. They have too many good players right now. Like, honestly, they do. They have too many good. Like Mike and I on the show today, we were talking about Max Strus, and I was like, they don't need him right now.
No,
like
really
everything
don't.
that he does, they have
They
some.
will.
Yeah, like
something to happen at
like,
some point.
And we came back around, and Max has the type of postseason experience that he's been in the finals. And him and Tristan are, I think, the only two on the roster who could say that. So, and you never know who's going to shrink in the moment when you get to the playoffs. But
what about utilizing? So you say we have too many good players. Okay, number one, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But the second part about it is you can then, I think, utilize guys with certain skill sets depending on who you play.
That's right.
So certain guys may play better against Boston as opposed to New York.
100%.
But
Ty Lue used to do the same thing. Ty used to say, look, hey, it's a bad series for you, and you got no minutes that series.
Right.
Then the next series, he'll come back and say, all right, well, Channing can play this series. We'll come with Tristan. Or some games, Kevin Love was not in the starting
against
lineup.
Golden State, especially.
Yeah, Channing wasn't a good matchup for Golden State either. But the thing with the Cavs is a lot of their guys are about the same size and have the same skill set. So, now last night's a good, like Niang and Jared obviously are completely different players and provide much different things. But a lot of their guys are about the same size. So they do have flexibility to go big, to go small. But some of their overlap is of guys about the same skill set and the same size. So I'll be curious to see what they do.
Hey, it protects
over
them
the next
from injury.
month.
Obviously, not to the stars of the team, but
Yeah.
protects them from injury to the next level of guys.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll use a deeper bench than most coaches do in the playoffs. It'll be interesting to see.
Mike and I touched on that
Yeah.
again this morning. In the first round, you play more guys.
Yeah.
The deeper you get, you want your best guys on the floor. The guys just aren't going to play. Like, you get to the finals.
Donovan's not playing 30 minutes in the conference finals.
That's exactly
Right, but there's not 5 Donovan Mitchells on the team.
No,
so
but you're good. In the finals game, you're going to play 8 and trust 7. Like, the 8th guy is going to play like 5-6 minutes.
but are we sure? Like, why can't you do it a different way?
Because you want your best guys on the floor.
Right, but guys 5 through 9 might be all neck and neck with each other.
I still want 5, not 9.
It may happen, Bull.
Yeah,
It'd be the first time it really happened. One thing I want to mention, back to, I forget who said it, but their point of testing stuff out in the regular season. Kenny talked about how last night was the first time in like 2 weeks they've had a game in the fourth quarter that wasn't a blowout.
Right. Yeah.
And he talked about, we want to get reps going through our strategy bag, he called it, in different end-of-game situations.
Right. Yeah, that
and
was
he
good.
mentioned the Walker Kessler foul when they hacked the Kessler with 4 minutes left. He said, yeah, we always want to see how it worked. We figured it was a great night to try it. So
they
not
should have
only
fouled him again. Remember when they got the rebound, he got the ball back?
they intentionally fouled him twice, and he went 1 of 4 on those free throws.
Yeah.
And he was talking about, well, we're up 5. In practice, we had gone over when's the right differentiation in points.
Yeah.
If we're up 6, do we do it? If we're up 5, if he's a 40% free throw shooter. And he said, screw it, let's try it last night, and it worked out. And from a coaching standpoint, not just players learning how to close, it was a good opportunity for Kenny Atkinson and that staff to mess around with some other end-of-game strategies that you can't do if you're up 35 points in the fourth quarter, like they have been for the most of the games this year.
I was surprised he finally made that last free throw because he looked totally shot on that free throw line. Like he had no confidence. The 3 that he missed were hideous shots. That was like me taking a free throw in an NBA game.
He had a really
that's
good
what it
game
looked
last
like.
night, though. He was impressive.
He's a good player. He's only
Yeah.
his, what, second or third year?
It was his third year because he was the first round pick that was part of the Gobert deal.
Yeah.
When they traded Gobert to Minnesota, that was the pick from Minnesota they used to draft Kessler.
He looks like a Euro,
Hey.
but I don't think he is.
Utah's
He's
got a
American.
ton of picks.
he's not.
Utah's got a ton of picks coming.
Yeah.
Like, they're just starting now to collect. on the Donovan trade, which is why that was so massive for the Cavs to be able to re-sign him. Imagine had they lost Donovan,
Right.
and now they've lost control of their next 5 drafts on top
Well,
of it.
plus those draft picks would have been a lot higher.
They would have been higher. The Cavs still would have had a good team this year. Obviously better with Donovan, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, now it could be a bottom 4 pick.
It could, like if you're Utah, I mean, I wrote over the weekend, the Cavs won this trade.
Oh, God.
Period.
It's over.
The Cavs won the trade.
Yeah.
The trade the move that I think was vindicated the most was, at one point in time, Collin Sexton was a first-round pick, averaged 25 in this league for the Cavs. And he was like one of the faces of what they were trying to do. They draft Darius Garland and becomes the Darius Garland versus Collin Sexton thing. Who has the upside? Both of them are point guards. And they end up moving on from Collin Sexton, who, by the way, had a lot of people like Collin Sexton in Cleveland. But when you look at the game last night, you can see the difference in the levels of the games. You can see the difference in the playmaking ability, the shooting ability. Now, Collin, he's not a bad player, but you can see, Darius is a better player. So it looks like they won that trade. And a lot of people look at Lauri Markkanen too. A lot of people like Lauri Markkanen. People always say, man, if we could have kept him, but
They couldn't.
they couldn't.
He had to be part of the deal.
He had to be. I wouldn't have traded him, Donovan Mitchell, for anybody but him.
Are you going to not acquire Donovan Mitchell because of Lauri Markkanen?
And now Evan Mobley is kind of doing some of those things, not to that level, but you don't miss it as much.
Of course, you'd love to have Markkanen on this team, but
He'd be a perfect fit.
Oh, he'd be
Not at the expense of Donovan Mitchell,
Right,
obviously.
right.
But if you could add one player, he'd be a perfect fit.
It was he had to be included in the trade, and Collin is fine. Collin is what he is, and I infuriated people for years because guys, Collin is he's a volume shooter. He's a bench scorer. He's best as a 6th man. He doesn't play. Oftentimes, he's not a winning player. He doesn't play winning basketball. He's not a guy you build your team around. But because of the situation they were in, and he was the big piece from the Kyrie trade, they were framing him as something that he wasn't. We're well past those days. They figured it out. They got past that. Luckily, Donovan became available when he did. They were able to, because they didn't want to pay Collin the big money. I don't blame them. I don't think they should have. Utah did pay him the big money, so they include him in the deal. They send him to Utah. Everybody wins. Collin gets paid. Utah has a nice young guard. He's fine. He is what he is. And the Cavs got the superstar out of it.
Hey, what is the most sneaky, disrespectful quote in all of sports? Okay. In baseball, a rotation arm. In basketball, you're not a winning player. In football, you're a game manager.
Game manager.
Game manager is the worst. Winning player in basketball kind of harsh. Like, it's like he's just not a winning player. It's like, dang.
Let's